What's up? We're back. It's another Vital MX MotoXpod Show presented by Race Tech and Boyesen. I think we've got a good show lined up. We've got Rock River Yamaha's Benny Bloss and two of the Supercross Future podium finishers from Star Yamaha, Daxton Bennick, and Orange Brigade's rider Julien, Juju, Beaumer, all coming on tonight. But first, I want to introduce my co-host, Scott Thomson. What's going on, Scotty?
Hey, what's going on, man? Just, like I actually got to go to a race this weekend. It was pretty sweet.
What race did you go to?
That one that they had in Dallas. Did you hear about it?
I did not. Was it good?
Yeah, it was really good, man. I had a blast.
Finally made it to a race this year. Mm-hmm. Good to hear.
As a fan.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
As a fan.
Our other co-host from Vital MX, Michael Lindsay, is working on a couple things, so we'll get him on here in just a minute. Before we get started, I got my suspension back from Race Tech for my YZ250.
Best thing you ever rode in your life?
It's good.
Yeah.
We had some issues once. I kind of told them, because out here in Texas, I race the novice class. I'm a novice in Texas. But to Race Tech, novice is like a beginner. So when they first gave me my suspension, it was really soft. I was struggling. We had a lot of conversations with my guy Clay up at PDR Performance. And we got one of the other guys from Race Tech involved and got me hooked up, got the suspension back. The YZ is great. I love it. And you too, Scotty, or our listeners can all get Race Tech from one of their local service centers. All you have to do is go on racetech.com to find your local Race Tech service center. And you can get the same great products, settings, and services that Race Tech offers locally to you with a tuner you can drive to and likely even see at your local racetracks. This week's Race Tech service center is Crow Performance in San Diego. Nope, that is not right. Yeah, it is Crow Performance, San Diego. My Crow previously worked for Race Tech in both R&D and custom shock departments. He's still employed suspension, engines, and centers in San Diego. So visit, if you're in the San Diego area, hit up Crow Performance. Check out those guys. We do have our other co-host ready to go. So I want to introduce my guy, Michael Lindsay.
Good luck, Michael. Kiss ass. Michael. Oh, God. And Michael. No, Michael.
What's up, Emil?
What's up? Do I sound any better than Lewis?
Nobody sounds better than Lewis. What are you talking about? Yeah.
Nobody sounds I thought you'd miss my voice, hopefully, for a little while. Apparently not so much.
Yeah, I mean, I got to hang out with you this weekend. I'll be hanging out with you this coming weekend. I haven't seen Lewis, and it feels like an infinite amount.
It feels like ages.
Ages.
It feels like ages.
Yeah, we miss our guy Lewis. Can't wait for him to get back. I already kind of talked about the guests on the show, and I did give the wrong Race Tech service center. I knew I was missing that. It's Phoenix Suspension this week in Phoenix, Arizona. Owned and operated.
Boy, Chris Bloss.
And tuned by the world's fastest suspension tuner, Chris Zombie Blows. So yeah, go if you guys are in that area, check out Phoenix Suspension, and maybe Zombie Blows, Scotty, could tune our listener suspension. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, when he's not racing, right?
Yeah, I think he has time in between. He figures that out, right, Michael Lindsay?
No, he's pretty. I don't know. Chris is definitely. He's one of those guys. If you went back to him and said, "Well, suspension's in this," he could either tell you they could change it, or just tell you to flat out go faster, and you'd have to listen to him. I think
true.
Either way.
That's true. I think he would know. Well, like I said, we have a great show. Benny Bloss, Daxton Bennick, Julien, Juju, or as Lewis likes to say, Beaumer, all on tonight. And this is the Boyesen Intake Open Discussion. ML, I want to start with our winner of Round 7 in Arlington. He went 5-2-1 for a Triple Crown overall win. I'm not allowed to use his title that I came up with him anymore. I was asked to stop that, so we're not going to use my nickname for Cooper Webb, but congrats to Cooper Webb. Looking good, ML. He's my guy for the championship right now. That's the guy I'm jumping on the bandwagon for, making a run.
Well, I'm really sorry you missed out on the Eli Express. We're too far ahead for you at the moment. But what happened to your War Wagon?
I was asked to as a copyright infringement type of thing, that I was asked by a fellow journalist that may or may not work for us. And
are we thinking it's hitting a little too close to home for the Watson wagon?
That's yep. Or the Sexton ship. That one. He needs that to be special. So I was.
He is special, isn't he?
I was asked to back off the title. So Cooper Webb wins. Michael Lindsay. He's only down by 2 points right now, going into Daytona, which as the rumor has it, that's where the championship started. You guys talked to Ricky Carmichael a little bit about that on a recent pod. But what do you think about Cooper Webb? The finish at Dallas, Arlington, looks good. He's coming on strong.
I just think coming on strong, but in general, I'm just super confused at this point with this championship because it's like nobody can get momentum for more than one round in a row. Definitely a great race for Cooper. Interesting to me considering how the first main went. I wouldn't have guessed he would have been that competitive later on. Definitely getting into jumping whoops helped him. Not a track I felt like, he cuts down really low. It was so slick. Everybody was already kind of squaring stuff up, trying to get straight runs into stuff. So I didn't feel like some of his usual, attributes worked there. He's really infamous for cutting down and kind of creating his own lines. It was just super slick on the bowl corners, but he made it work the last race. I will say, I don't think, if it wasn't for the perfect storm of what happened to Chase, I don't know if he would have got it done. They were both just really consistent the couple laps before that. But no, I think overall Chase has been really good at hard pack rounds. For Cooper to be in there is definitely a good sign.
Yeah, Scotty, I think it was really kind of touching on what ML just said, a lack of mistakes for Cooper, right? I mean, Chase was clearly the fastest guy each night, crashed at the end there, it caused some problems. Kyle Chisholm going down, and then Grant Harlan kind of making just not holding his line completely, and Chase making a bad decision maybe. But Cooper's right where he needs to be, and we know that Cooper Webb comes on strong at the end, and once he gets those guys in his focus and his target, he's really good late. So I'm looking, at the very least, if nobody gets hurt, we're going to have a hell of a championship these last 7-8 rounds.
Yeah, from my perspective, in the fans' perspective, I honestly didn't see, like, Cooper was such a surprise to me at the end. Like, I was like, whoa,
yeah,
wait.
Where'd he come from?
Yeah, it's like, wait, I hadn't thought about him, like, almost all night. Like, that was
your first mistake.
Well, yeah. You know what I mean, though. Like, it was kind of like, I was like, oh, Cooper's, he's having an off night. And then all of a sudden, it was like, he's going to tie Chase and then win because he was the best at the end when the track was rough. Like, well, yeah, that's Cooper. So it's like, it didn't surprise me and surprised me at the same time. It was kind of weird.
Hey, ML, I want to go back. I think was it your last review pod where Lewis made the comment that there weren't that many memorable Arlington, Dallas races? Yeah, I'm trying to remember was that when it was on the review pod?
Yeah, we were both joking about that. We really couldn't come up with a memorable Arlington race. I think there was one stat that he nailed off with an RV relay deal, but other than that, it's funny because I like the round, I like the stadium, I like football style tracks personally. I like a little bit longer rhythm lane. I like the venue, but when I think back to it, my depressing thought I started the pod with was the whole me almost joking about jumping off the top of my own semi in 2020 is about the most memorable Arlington
but okay
I have.
So what was it, 20? I think in 20 was when Cooper backflipped off the Dragon's back and probably lost the championship. So to me, that was memorable.
Oh, is that when he landed out on the concrete really bad?
Same night AC did the same thing, I think. And then was it not Arlington where he beat Kenny by like a millionth of a second?
Closest race ever, yes.
I think it was.
Well, fine. There are memorable races in Arlington. They're just so unrememberable we couldn't remember them.
Maybe if you two selfish buttholes didn't just hog the review show all to yourself, maybe if other people that worked at Vital MX got an invite every once in a while. Go ahead, Scotty.
I was listening to the review show, and y'all were talking about that, and I was like, closest Supercross race ever. It was a couple years ago. Yeah.
I mean, listen, Scotty, we all know that Michael Lindsay and Lewis Phillips, they don't always really know what they're talking about. I mean,
make it up as we go. Yeah. Before every review pod, me and Lewis are just like, do I even have notes together for this? Do you want it? No, I guess we have to do this right now, don't we? You guys think it's well planned out? I mean,
no. Hey, this last one, our guy TJ, who was supposed to be here tonight in studio, but decided to work an extra week to make himself look good.
Wow.
Yeah, way to go, loser. He is a big-time fan of Mr. Lewis Phillips. Every week he texts me how funny that guy is. I think he's got a little bit of a man crush on Lewis.
Oh, he's right up there with Colin Park this week then.
Yes. All right, let's move on.
Colin was very disappointed. He was hoping that Lewis hadn't abandoned him after his performance at that last race.
I heard that. Let's move on. You mentioned Chase Sexton, who was overall, I think, the fastest guy of the night. Race 1, He was like 12th place, I think, early on in the first race, Scotty, and just the fastest guy on the track. Rode over Jason Anderson, I believe, to
get him. I saw that little head stomp thing. That was I was a little wild. I didn't know if that was planned or what. But
came from the back to finish third. That was an impressive ride. If Chase can figure out these little mistakes that Lewis would like to ignore, I think Chase could start running away with this thing if he could just figure out those mistakes.
Well, it's kind of funny because now you sound like how we did a couple weeks ago when you were saying that like he's not getting in this is not getting in his head and stuff.
Well, I didn't say it. I still think it might be in his head a little bit. Even though I really do think it has to affect him.
Yeah. I will say, kind of jumping back a little bit, watching him come back through the pack in that first race was probably one of my top highlights of the Triple Crown. Like it was insane. Yes.
Insane.
That was mimicked.
I kind of figured out what he was about to say.
I knew where his head was at. It really was. Like it's funny because I was saying this, if it wasn't for Chase's ride, I think we'd be talking about Anderson a little bit similar. Like Anderson had an amazing first race because he was way down when he finally got up and moving, and he made quite a few spots. But watching Chase like clicking off 2-3 guys in the matter of 2 sections was just so impressive. I really thought he was going to go all the way to second. He got a little bit hung up in Barsha's pace. Barsha blocked him a little bit, but even before that, it's kind of like I don't know if their lines were too similar. He got a little bit hung up in his pace, kind of old, when you get stuck behind somebody, it affects you a little bit. That seemed to have killed his Ford drive because before that, I was convinced he was coming back to second, no problem.
I agree.
Everybody kind of was talking about the last race where, Chase washed out and then the Grant Harlan thing. I think one of the most pivotal points was in the second race where I thought after Chase got Tomac, he kind of caught up to Webb. I thought he was just going to kind of pick him off too. And when he didn't, I think that kind of set up Cooper more than it kind of gets talked about.
What do you think, ML?
I'm trying to remember how many laps to go because he had quite a distance. I think the other thing, though, is like Coop's big thing all night was he was, again, just so insanely consistent.
Mm-hmm.
At no given point in any race was he terribly quick on best lap time. But his average lap time, of course, was really solid, but his minimum to max was really tight. Like he just made no mistakes, basically. Also, kind of interesting, I was talking later, Tomac was actually pretty sick over the weekend, apparently. Like, because he bailed on autograph signing. We didn't get to interview him for anything. Like, every time he come off the track, he wouldn't even ride to the semi. He'd ride his bike with his mechanic to his motorhome, step off, go to his motorhome, his mechanic ride around. Like, Eli, I saw his physical face once the entire day, I think.
Yeah. I talked to him before the press conference and just kind of shot the crap with him a little bit. And he didn't look sick, but that doesn't mean anything, obviously. To finish off with Chase, I think in that second race, once he went by Eli, didn't he gap him by like 5 seconds? I mean, again, just so fast.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah, and then in the third race, obviously, probably should have won that one. Made the mistake when he was trying to go inside of Eli and just trusting that flat corner a little too much. And even without that mistake, or without the second mistake of basically just choosing the wrong decision, wrong direction around Grant Harlan, he wins the thing, I think. So yeah, Chase is probably, the Sextonship is probably the favorite in my eyes. I don't want to say that because I like Chase, but I'm on the Cooper. I'm on the other bandwagon. And then let's go to Eli.
Come on, we can come up with another name. You got to work on that.
He doesn't want any nicknames right now. That's Lewis has no nicknames. And then just talking about Eli, a good night, but ML not 100% on. He even admitted after the fall in the third one that, hey, he was a little uncomfortable, didn't want to push it and go down again. He had lost his rhythm. A good night, a great night for any average guy, but for Eli, mediocre.
Definitely. It's a weird dynamic for him because he's never been this strong on the early rounds, never been, I think, this well ahead in points that he can kind of have these mediocre nights, maybe like 2 weeks ahead, like back-to-back kind of like this. Not back-to-back, I'm thinking before Oakland at Houston, or Tampa. He's definitely, any of these guys I think are all in the same situation for Daytona on. Somebody has to get momentum going. It's just too much good night followed by bad night. And when I say bad night, yeah, compared to anybody else in the field, it's a great night. But in these guys' book, they don't want to keep doing this. They don't want to keep, I got 3 points this week, and then I gave up 3 or 4 the next weekend. Somebody has to break away, of course, with statistically speaking, in the past, my favorite for Daytona is Eli, and I think the vast majority of people would be. I think Chase is riding, of course, amazing at the moment, and Cooper. So if there's ever a time that Eli will lose Daytona, this could potentially be it. But I also think at the same time, like it's going to, they'll saying that the season starts at Daytona. I think he really needs to get it done this weekend. And this goes for anybody. Whoever gets it done at Daytona this weekend needs to get it done the following weekend as well. They need to separate themselves. It's just not happening yet.
Yeah, Scotty, thoughts on Eli? And you think about, he made the mistake in Arlington. He's made a couple other mistakes where he's gone off track, jumped off track. He kind of did the 180, or made a mistake. He's been off track or backwards or down 3 or 4 races in a row now. A2 is when he landed on the tough block. I think Oakland and Tampa, I think both of them he had mistakes. Kind of uncharacteristic for him.
Well, I mean, Oakland, he still won, so you can pretty much,
but just
like,
the
it's a
little
wash.
mistakes are odd.
Yeah, I think the Oakland one specifically was, that track was just so rutted. The other one in A2, he was pushing it really, really hard, and that that mistake happened. And then, as soon as Michael has said that he thinks that he was sick, that was like a light bulb going off my head. Like, that makes complete sense of kind of watching how that performance went. What I will say is for the future, for going, from this point on, if you look at these 3 guys like a stock, Eli started off really high on the market, and then now it's kind of slowly losing a little bit. And then, Cooper is just steadily climbing, whereas Chase is kind of fluctuating a lot. Which in that scenario, which stock would you choose? Probably
all fluctuating.
I feel like Cooper has started the lowest and risen the most.
I'll give you that
over the period of time.
I'll give you
that. So going forward, I would say, like, which stock would you pick? The one that's steadily climbing, the one that's kind of going down a little bit, or the one that's bouncing all over the place?
If I was a betting man and I had a lot of money to bet, I have no idea who I would bet on. I think they're all 33%.
Waffle.
I can see any of them, ML. Like Eli. I mean, Eli's a champion. He could easily win this thing by a decent margin. He could just start pulling away. Chase could easily, he's the fastest guy. He could easily run away with it. Or all of a sudden, Cooper could just snag this thing out of nowhere. Like, I can't, if I had to bet on somebody, I'd bet on Eli just out of statistics.
So I said this, I think 2 weeks ago, me and Lewis were talking on post-race show, and I can see any of the 3, of course, getting it. However, I think Coop, it comes down to the title staying close to the end. For some reason, I can't see Coop breaking away from these 2 right now. He is riding better, but there's nothing that's convinced me yet that he can go on the streak. I feel like he's going to be in there, picking up points where he can, and he would ultimately be able to win the title if they can bring it down to the end tight. Chase is making the best current case for being able to break away if he can put it together. However, the little mistake shows they can't. Eli is the only one this season that's actually shown he can put together more than one race really in a row successfully. So I do lean towards Eli, albeit he's got to kind of bounce back from even, I got in Oakland, like it, not gifted to him, but like Coop was really close, Chase threw it away. He hasn't had maybe as good of a breakout ride as he did on the very beginning of the season. His last 3 rounds have just been, 2 rounds and then one pretty decent one with Oakland. I could see him or Chase winning the title by, again, putting down momentum and breaking away from their competitors. I only see Coop getting it if he stays with these 2 down to the wire. I just, barring Eli and Chase literally wrecking themselves out of race and losing a lot of points around, I don't see how Webb builds up a points lead at this point.
I don't think I can argue with you. Boyesen is excited to spotlight.
You can try. I mean, you can try.
I'll think about an argument. Maybe we'll come back to it. Boyesen is excited to spotlight their Factory Racing's Rider Support Program, a comprehensive support system for the motocross and off-road riders. The program offers participation, exclusive access to Boyesen's products, yearly discounts, and the potential to become one of their new product development test riders. Join the community of Boyesen's Factory Flyers. Visit boyesen.com to apply now. Before we get to Benny here in just a couple minutes, big news. Technically broke this weekend, or technically broke, Friday?
We're working on it. We're going to get to the news eventually.
Yeah, I can't remember what. Yeah, we may or may not have broke it a little early. Not on purpose, not our fault. But yeah, Eli re-ups. He's going to race Sounds like outdoors, super motocross.
Yep, outdoors, super motocross. I would say he's going to go for the trifecta of defending the one plate. I think we see him at destinations. And then the most interesting thing in the press release is his wording. He goes, I really thought, this would be a farewell tour. So what are you telling me? This isn't a farewell tour? Are you leaving the door open for 24? Do some of these competitors need to be losing a little sleep at night, thinking, thought we were done with him finally?
I like it. Scotty, I asked Chase in the press conference, how do you feel that now you're going to have to go to war with this guy all summer? And he was excited. As a fan, how excited are you that he's coming back? We know we're going to get a little more Eli.
As a fan, I am super pumped to see him do the outdoor championship, especially with Jet joining. I think that there would have been a lot of questions if that had never happened. That kind of would have set up the bench racing for a lifetime of, Jet never had to face Eli. Even though he's an older Eli, it's still going to be a consistency thing, an experience thing that he's not going to have. So I like it for the aspect that we're going to have potentially a three-way battle, just like we're having in Supercross right now. I think with Sexton and Jet and Eli, that's going to be an incredible summer, and it'll be cool to see that happen into a penultimate Supercross championship that's never been done before. The Supercross motocross championship has never been done before. I think that's very exciting. As on this side of the outlook of it, what changed? Why now? Why all of a sudden in Dallas are we making the decision? What kind of where are we going with, like, why this was the choice? Yeah,
we'll get to that in a second. First, hang on. We got a guest online.
Probably, but I didn't.
We'll get back to it. Let's get to our guest, who's brought to you by FXR, which is designed by racers for racers. With industry-leading fit, finish, and performance, progression is the name of the game with every new piece created. At FXR, we push our brand to the next level to provide you with the best product possible. Visit fxrracing.com to see the numerous gear lines and colorways, as well as the snow lines and lifestyle casual wear. Tonight, FXR brings us from the Rock River Yamaha team, Mr. Benny Bloss. What's up, Benny?
How's it going?
It's going good, man. Good to talk to you. A good weekend for you, I feel like. How do you look back on Arlington and the rest of your season so far?
Arlington was good. Huge steps in the right direction as far as like the riding in the mains goes. Qualifying was really good with 8th, but I qualified good at Tampa and Oakland as well. But both of those races I was horrible in the mains, where Arlington was quite a bit better. So I like how things are trending upwards, and I just got to continue working on my starts to try to be able to be there more in the race in the beginning.
Well, coming off of A1, obviously not a great race. You crashed and injured your tailbone in the heat race. How much of a lingering effect was that on these finishes, or is it something else that you've kind of been struggling with?
I mean, it definitely had a little bit to do with, like, coming back was difficult. Honestly, it was kind of the whole prep was not the best. I moved down to Florida in the beginning of December, which was awesome. But I was riding a 22 Yamaha, which is good, but it's quite a bit different than the 23. So I'm riding just like a stock 22 with suspension. And then I ended up getting my 23s Tuesday before Anaheim 1. And so I got 2 days on the bike before A1, which the bike is incredible. And if anyone out there is like looking to get a new bike, I highly recommend the new Yamaha. It is hands down the best stock motorcycle I've ever rode in my life.
Okay. Are you getting a percentage off every one that you sell?
No, none at all.
Just checking.
I truly believe that it is the best dirt bike out there. It was pretty crazy how comfortable I felt on it immediately and how much I liked it immediately. That's why I was like kind of fine with once I got on. Like, I was pretty nervous up until I got on the bike, and then it was like, okay, we're good. And then I had just an absolute embarrassment at A1 and looped out in the whoops. And I have a video of it, and I still can't figure out what I did wrong.
Can you send that to us?
Can I what?
Send that to
I
us.
witnessed it.
I promise Vital will not repost it.
See, that's where that's probably just not going to happen. I'm not trying to get a video of me going around like the Jamie photo, like that's.
Ouch.
Okay,
Yeah,
at least we don't have an audio clip of you afterward.
Yeah. But
go ahead.
So then, like, I was dealing with that. I had a pretty gnarly bruised tailbone, which I've never had before, and I can't imagine what it would have been like if it was broken, because it was one of the most painful things I've had to deal with.
That sounds fun.
And the 6-hour flight back to Florida was not awesome Monday after Anaheim.
I imagine not. You talked about going from the 22 to the 23 Yamaha, and previously you'd been on KTMs. Were those changes, was that a difficult adjustment, just going from multiple teams and multiple bikes over a period of just a few years? Is that something that is a struggle for you, or do you adjust pretty quickly?
I mean, I feel like I adjust pretty quickly. I've ridden a KTM the most, so always going back to the KTM has been kind of easy for me. But I'm a really big fan of the Yamaha, and if I wasn't with Rock River, I would have been, like, if I would have done completely my own program, it was going to be on a Yamaha. And I just really like that bike. I feel like it fits me well. So like transitioning to the 22 was pretty easy. And then, like I said, the 23, it was just like, as soon as I got on it and started riding, I was like, this is incredible. Like, it'll be good. And like at the races, my bike has obviously Supercross suspension, and then I've got bars and sprockets and a pipe. And that is the only thing done to my motorcycle. So we're working to try to get some new parts for it. I think hopefully maybe next week I'll get an ECU and trying to get some stuff for it to get it a little better. But I mean, I'm racing that thing real stock, so it's pretty good. I'm very happy with it so far.
You've mentioned a couple times how much you like it. Specifically, what is it about the 23 that you really like? What's standing out?
So the bike is lighter, and it's kind of hard to describe how I don't know. It's like it corners so incredible. Not saying that the other one didn't corner good, but this one is like pretty much wherever you want to turn, wherever you want to move the bike, you can do it. Like, you can just manhandle it however you want. And the 22, I kind of struggled with that a little bit, especially like if I wanted to go really low in a berm and cut tight. I kind of struggled with that, where this one's just like, you want to turn it, boom, it turns as sharp as you want. It's just super easy to throw around. And I feel like it's a little faster as well, which is nice, obviously. But and this kind of sounds weird, because everyone that I talk to says that I look bigger on the new bike than I did on the other one, but it feels more comfortable for me. Like, I feel like I fit it better.
Well,
even if it doesn't look like it.
You look big on any bike.
Well, yeah. That is an issue that I've ran into.
I think it's funny. I don't think you always, like, I'm always shocked. I have this conversation, people, just random fans or somebody will ask, like, how tall is Benny? And when I tell them, like, I don't think anybody believes it. You don't run, like, really awkwardly tall, like, bars or seat or anything like that. I really think it's deceiving how tall you are on the bike.
Yeah, no, dude, so many people ask me about my setup, and they're like, well, how tall are risers do you run? Because you have to run crazy bar mounts and crazy bars. And honestly, I run like some of the lowest bars that ODI makes, and like stock bar mounts, and foot pegs are stock height. Like, I run a tall seat on the Yamaha, but like on the KTM, I didn't run tall seat. I just pretty much stock height everything. And I don't know if it's just because, like, growing up, I never like really tried anything new, so I always was comfortable riding a stock sized motorcycle.
Right. Scotty.
Yes, Benny. So Is there anything that specifically happens like on a race day that kind of determines your success, or like days that you have success versus days that you don't? Is there like one specific thing that happens or doesn't happen?
Man, that's tough. I don't really know. I feel like I try to do everything exactly the same on race day. There's just some days where, like, right off the bat on lap one, like, you feel good and you feel comfortable and, like, you're vibing with the track and everything's going good. And then some days maybe you're struggling in the beginning. I think that's just mostly, like, random, which is weird, but like Oakland was weird because the track was really nasty, but I felt pretty comfortable with it. Actually, the last few races I felt just kind of like right off the bat, I felt good. Whereas like Anaheim 1 was first lap, I was like, man, I feel terrible. I feel like I've never rode a dirt bike on a supercross track in my life. And I get back and my dad was like, wow, you look horrible. And I was like, oh, okay, well, at least that's how I feel. I don't necessarily think that there's like one specific thing that I do that will determine it, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just dumb.
So it's not your dad.
It's not Jeff.
No. Oh man, the fantasy people the last couple of weeks have just been like, it's the Jeff curse because he wasn't at Oakland and I had a good day, and then he comes to Arlington. I had so many people that were like, well, I'm not going to pick you today because Jeff Bloss is here. And I was like, well, okay. I mean, and then I qualified good, and they're like, yeah, but it's just qualifying. And then it's like, I have a good day. And Mathis was like, you broke the curse. And I'm like, whatever you got to say, man.
Hey, I was curious, Benny. So after kind of years of floating back and forth between being a Rocky Mountain, which of course was factory level equipment, a good spot for you to be in terms of like knowing you have the equipment to show what you can do. Being on Rock River, kind of doing your own program in a way this year with your bike and stuff. What's kind of your goals going forward? Like, what's your aspiration the next couple of years? Do you kind of think like how long of the building process do you think it's going to take to, maybe get that opportunity again to be on a truly top tier program? Are you kind of placing your career where it's like, oh, I might have to put something just more permanently together for myself down the road, or kind of how do you feel about all that?
Man, that's a good question. I've actually spent in the last couple months, I guess, leading up to the season, spent a lot of time talking about that with my wife and my family, and it's like pretty much what I've come to agree with everyone is that like this year, if I can't get a deal for next year where it's like I'm actually making money and like can have a ride where things are good, then I'm probably not going to continue. Just like, it sucks to say because like I love what I do and I have so much fun doing it, but like I'm not making any money, pretty much just spending money. And it's hard when you're not on a program with a bunch of staff members, a bunch of really good equipment. It's like we're on a smaller program where you got to make things work. Which, I mean, I love the program and it's going well so far this year, but we just, you don't really have the resources that you would on a factory level team, obviously. But, I mean, I'm trying to make it work the best I can and just working my butt off during the week to try to get better results so that I can get into a position where I am able to make money and I am able to continue racing. Cause I feel like I feel like I can be good and I feel like I can do really good. I just need to apply it and make that a consistent thing where someone sees, even if it's just like one or two sponsors where they're like, we're going to step up and really help to make it easier. Cause it's expensive. It's really expensive. So
yeah, absolutely.
Do you think it's getting to the point like with some of the changes in the sport right now with the Super Motocross Series, with World Supercross, with Oz Supercross coming back from the pandemic, some off-season money races, etc. Is there also any like thought on your part, or you think there's maybe an opportunity to kind of, again, like maybe change your path a little bit and kind of do like USSX? Like, is there, from contacts you had, do you think there's enough in it to go, I could go race Oz and World as well and kind of do these races and sort of like guys like JT had done back in the past with Germany, and sort of the direction Chiz was heading, kind of prolong your career and make money that way and enjoy it enough? Or is the focus just really US indoors, outdoors, or bust?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm willing to do whatever. If I had a good opportunity to go race one of the other series, I'd definitely be willing to do it. I'm not just like US or nothing, you know. I think going to race in Australia would be super rad. Be able to go over there and see different parts of the world and also get to do what I love. I'm down for that completely. And be able to make money doing it would be awesome. I'm just like, right now, I feel like I can do good in US Supercross and motocross. I just have to find a way to be able to apply what I would do during the week to the races. Cause during the week I'm fine. I do good. And then you go to the race and it's like, boom, crash here, crash there. And it's very frustrating. But I'm definitely open to doing other things, not just the US series.
Nice.
Hey, Benny, I meant to ask this.
I do think the SMX thing, though, is pretty cool, having the 3 races at the end of outdoors. And from what I hear, it's like a lot of extra money, which is always awesome as well. So I think that I think where the sport is heading is pretty cool and going to be good. So,
yeah, I'm still really curious. They haven't released it yet, but based on what I hear, purse-wise, I mean, we're looking at a feld payout for the championship. Basically, if you're the 450 guy that wins the total points haul at the end of the year, it's $1 million. It pays down to 20th. I think I was told it's going to be around 50 grand for 20th. So you can kind of imagine what the payout will be in between. 250s will have their own series payout, and then I believe the round around across the 3 rounds, the purse money should be, I'm really guessing based on something I did on paper, I think it might be around 400 grand per race total purse, compared to like a normal Supercross that's like 170 or something.
Nice.
So yeah, there actually could be some decent money to be made there. Now, if only we could get the rest of the series to be like that, we'd be freaking,
man.
Benny, you'd be able to keep racing no matter what you're doing.
I'd go get my pro license.
It's nice to see though, like this year, seeing the changes with 250 getting paid more. Like it's cool to see that.
Sure.
But,
yeah, I'm kind of wondering how much that changes. Like everybody's defaults to go to the 450 class, because I get it. You would, hey, even if I have a night where I don't make the main, at least I'm walking away with $1,800, $1,900 or something. Like at least I can kind of pay for my flight and some of my stuff. 250 used to be like $500, being like 8th in an LCQ, but this year 250s are definitely a lot more encouraging. I think maybe some guys will back off the whole, I'm just gonna ride a 450 because it's cheap and I can make at least pay to go racing.
Yeah.
Hey, Benny, I meant to ask this earlier. I've always liked seeing you on a KTM or Yamaha. It makes sense being the taller rider. Is there a bike that you just straight up wouldn't ride that you don't think would suit your height?
I don't really think so. I've rode obviously the Austrian bikes, the Yamaha. I rode Moto Concepts, so there was the Honda. After Moto Concepts, I had a Cowie for the summer. I haven't rode a Suzuki. I don't even think I've sat on a Suzuki like since 2013 maybe. So I don't know how that would feel, but I feel like they're all pretty similar size-wise. So no, I wouldn't really say. I'd be pretty much open to anything.
Are you working with Millsaps?
I am not.
Okay, were you?
I mean, he helps me a little bit, like here and there. Like today, he was helping me because he was out there with Dino.
Okay.
But not full time like I was last year.
Okay. I wasn't sure. Press day for a guy like yourself on a team. You kind of talked about the team earlier. How beneficial is it getting a little extra track time, even though it's not the full track?
I feel like it's very beneficial. I was able to ride press at Tampa, and then I'm going to be riding press this weekend as well. I'm a big fan of it, and anytime I get a chance to, I try to. You know, a lot of times it's, you know, you're riding 2, maybe 3 sections, but the biggest thing is like getting to feel the dirt and how the jumps are, like the transitions. If you get to ride rhythm section is nice because then you're able to play with suspension a little bit. And I'm big press day guy, so as many as I can get, I try to do them. They try to spread them out quite a bit for us, but yeah, big fan.
Benny, you know, you went straight to 450s, had a brief 250 career. Do you think that if the Futures program had been what it was now then do you think that you would have still foregone the Futures, or would that have been something that you did?
I mean, yeah, I think I probably would have done Futures. So when I went pro, it was like when I want to say it was maybe the first year that they did like the AMA Arena Cross.
The Ricky
You
Carmichael
had to make the night show, and that got you points.
Yeah.
And I was hurt during that, so I didn't get to do it during my A-class year. So then, like the year that I was actually going to race East Coast, I had to do that. And they had changed the rules where, because there were guys that would like make the night show and then they would just leave the year before. So then it was like you had to race the main to get points. So I did that, and I want to say I went to 2, maybe 3 races of that. I personally would have way rather done the Futures races because there's no better way to get used to racing a Supercross race than getting to actually race the Supercross. And I think that it's really cool. And it's weird for me, like coming down here to Florida to Jet and Hunter's place, and there's like amateur guys riding the Supercross tracks, where like when I was B class and A class, it was like you didn't really do that. At least I didn't do that until I turned pro. And I don't know, I think it's really cool for the kids nowadays, but I don't think that necessarily would have made me ride 250s any longer than I did.
Yeah, I was going to say, just not to point out the obvious, but you would have actually had to do Futures because that's how you get a license now. So to answer the question, yes, Benny would have done Futures like everybody.
Yeah.
Good point, ML.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't realize that you like absolutely had to do it.
So I want to get
You can get a little bit of points from Minios. That's actually how Braswell did it. But I think they're eliminating that again for next year. Like you can do the Minios SX, and I think if you have a Futures result in your report works or something like that. But basically, yeah, it's either Futures or I think Minios SX, only 2 that give you points for now.
Benny, I got 2 more for you. You mentioned during press like feeling the dirt. I want to ask you about the tracks this year. They've been breaking down quite a bit. They've been pretty technical, gnarly. And then Arlington, like it looked good, but everybody was saying that, you know, once you got down those couple inches to the base, it was really slick. How have the tracks been for you? Or would you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. Oakland was so gnarly. I wish that people got to like actually go down on the track and see it, because it was hammered. And a lot of the tracks before that were pretty hammered. But like you said, Arlington, it's known for really good dirt. And like people are always like, oh, Dallas has to have like some of the best dirt. And like first practice, it's always like sick. But then by the time the main events come around, it's always really slick. And I felt like this year the first main was pretty good. And then the second main was just like an absolute ice skating rink. And then the third main, like it was better back to good. And that track was also, I felt like it was really easy, not necessarily very technical. Kind of seems like they do that at the Triple Crown races, where like Oakland, I thought it was weird how Oakland seemed like everything was really big and steep, when that track, like the last few years at least, has broken down a lot. When we were walking the track, I was like, this seems kind of weird how gnarly it is. Yeah. But I mean, it made for good racing, and surprisingly, like in the main events, I thought for sure that there'd be tons of dudes crashing, because in practice it was just yellow flags everywhere, and like nobody crashed in the main.
Benny Bloss, brought to you by FXR tonight. Last question, or first, I must say congrats on your Super Bowl win. Good for you. I will call you out for, I was telling ML because I had just left his house when my Niners were embarrassed, and you were just texting me like every 5 minutes, like, "Oh, this is really bad. Oh, this is so bad. What's going?" Like, he's kind of rubbing it in a little bit, and I'm not real appreciative of that.
Oh,
You got to talk. You got to talk bad. I mean, had the Niners won and then went to the Super Bowl and just crushed the Chiefs, I would expect you to be just blowing me up.
Oh, I would have. Yeah, I would have. But I'm going to be the bigger man and say congrats on your team winning. Good for you.
Well, I appreciate it. It was nice to watch. I watched the first half at Michael Burns' house, and it was like, this is just not enjoyable. Things are not going very good. Like, they were playing all right.
Yeah.
And like, we left at halftime, came back home, and I was just like, Mahomes seemed like he had gotten hurt before halftime. I was like, man, I'm about to watch just the worst second half ever. And then all of a sudden, like, first drive, they're just on fire. And I was like, wow, we're going to win this thing.
All of a sudden, the NFL radioed down to the refs and said, "Hey guys,
you're
supposed to let the Chiefs win."
Always going to be haters, man.
There's
I
always
think it
haters.
had more to do with the amount of Toradol that went in the ankle at halftime.
Hey, it'd be nice if our riders could get whatever he got.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that's...
All right,
whatever they gave him was good.
Yeah. Benny, thanks for coming on tonight, man. Appreciate you, and look forward to seeing you this weekend in Daytona.
I appreciate you guys having me on, and look forward to the next time.
All right, buddy. We'll see you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Yep. See ya. Thanks to Benny Bloss for coming on. Brought to you by FXR tonight. Daxton Bennick coming up here in just a few minutes. Let's get back to we were discussing the Eli contract. And what was your question there at the end before we got Benny on, Scotty?
Ooh.
You remember? I think you were questioning why now.
Oh,
and
yes.
ML was going to
say something, yes.
Well, go ahead, ML.
I'm trying to actually remember, what was it, why he resigned or why it was announced then?
Yeah, like
Simple,
why did he decide now? That was what you were asking.
Yeah,
right?
kind of, it just seemed kind of a little random.
Two main things. He came into the season. It's even why it took so long to get his contract extension done last year. Yamaha and Star and Co-Carlos guys were hounding him a little earlier into the season about continuing. He wanted to see what the new bike was about. He did not sign that contract till he rode that new motorcycle. There were discussions before that, but that was the holdup. Chiz did that testing. They brought the bike out. I heard he rode it about 15 laps at home, and basically come on, goes, okay, I'll sign. Let's go. Even with that, he even mentioned it this weekend. He mentioned it on press day quite a bit. That just about, I was talking about enjoyment. I'm like, man, we keep saying it, but I'm like, do you feel it? And he was talking about, just the environment, being mature, really appreciating the job now way more than he used to. But a big one he also mentioned is he was very surprised still how good they are on a new platform. I think no matter what, that worried him. He just needed to tick, I think, a couple boxes to decide to continue going. One is it going to go well on the bike? Nobody wants to come in and flounder around on that thing. And even if he knew coming in was good, but let's say he came up with a second or third, it'd be kind of like, do I want to go do this outdoors if I know I can't, I may be a little bit off. He seems to have answered that question, and just enjoyment factor. And I think it's as simple as those two things. He thinks he can keep winning, and he's sure as hell enjoying it at the moment.
That's pretty much what he said to us. ML, so this weekend, I put my WUSA wheels on my Husky, or on the Vital Husky 350 that I'm so in love with. And I got to tell you, the wheels were still kind of dirty from Glen Helen. So
Shocking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've been sitting at your house. You never cleaned them for me. I don't know what the hell happened, but I got them home. I cleaned them, and I cleaned them with the Motul Shine and Go. Woo-wee. They smell good. They look good. That stuff works, bro. The Shine and Go is fantastic. My wheels are bling, bling, bling. You got some behind you? I have some in here. I'm gonna use for Scotty. He's got some little BO going on. I'm gonna use it for Scotty.
Give me a little. give me.
Yeah, ML's putting it on there. But yeah, the give your ride its shine back. The Motul E10 Shine and Go spray is our go-to detailer for all of our bikes. Motul E10 Shine and Go spray cleans and restores plastic to like new condition while leaving a protective film that repels dirt and grime. It smells like citrus, which is almost as cool as your garage smelling like race gas. You can find this and the entire Motul Power Sports product lineup at shopmotul.com. Shopmotul.com and enter code VITAL20 to receive 20% off your order of $50 or more. any local cycle gear store or at any local cycle gear store or online, any major power sports website. Thanks to Motul for being on board. Thanks to WUSA as well. They'll be bringing us our next guest here just in a few minutes. Let's talk about Kenny for a minute. Kenny, up and down, pretty much down to some degree. Not what I expected out of him this year, but that first race, ML, he looked really good, except in the whoops. Looked awful.
Yeah, I didn't think it was terrible in the whoops. It definitely was not good. Not as bad as it was maybe the week or two before.
Okay.
Just smooth track. It just seems to keep playing with him like things are smooth track. Seems to work out okay. Two big ones. The track necessarily, yeah, the whoops got edgy. The Dragon's back got edgy. The big thing is the rest of the track got slick. Something I mentioned back at San Diego when it was slick is I thought he was struggling really bad with traction. I know talking to the team, all they really focused on is suspension, nothing really with clutch or engine spec or anything. So I don't know if they've kind of maybe delayed finding other improvements with the bike because they're just so focused on that. But yeah, I think as the track gave away, as it got slick, he really struggled with traction there, just struggled to be comfortable. Yeah, kind of doesn't shock me at this point to see him come out swinging when the conditions play a little more in his cards. But yeah, still better than Oakland where the first third of the race was really good. The second third was in the last third. It was pretty catastrophic. The three mains were, while he dropped off in performance throughout the night, it was still a bit more consistent seeming.
Yeah, when he was catching Tomac in that first one, I leaned over to my buddy and was like, okay, Kenny. And then like literally as I said that, he went into the whoops and like made that mistake. I was like, oh yeah, there it is.
But I feel like when you see the way he rode in that first one, Scotty, it's still there.
Yeah, it's not,
I really think his confidence is just shot, and that could go back to the suspension stuff. ML, what did you find out about the factory connection? Because he's kind of gone back and forth. I know that you got in a little bit of trouble.
He hasn't come back on, to be clear, he has not come back on FC. He did the few races on it, and he's off. This also got me banned from the HEP truck for a while. That's cool.
One of many teams that were mad at you this weekend.
Yeah, it happens. Just trying to do my job. Anyways, yeah, so the team, after, I think it was the opening round when Kenny Wynn did the FC thing, Chiz also asked if he could work with the guy he had been working with in Florida for the past couple of years, which is Matt Androck, that owns Active Ride Suspension. I've known Matt for a long time. Him and Ross Made are really good buddies, so I got to work with Matt a little bit back when I worked for Ross back in the day. Matt's a good dude, so he started doing Chiz's stuff. It kind of extended into Shane trying something with him to finally, before Oakland, last minute Kenny wanted to try something, decided to go racing with it. So now Matt is sort of working for the team directly. Basically what we were told is the FC thing is not off the table. They are still working together, but it also, the way of working together was they were pretty much told to go work on the dyno for a little while and see if they could find something that they think will actually work on the bike and bring it back. So the door is not closed. I don't know if that's 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, and that's still testing. I don't know if Kenny develops with the current guy, if it goes better, whatever. It's just the door is not closed. Still kind of a weird subject.
Yeah, from your experience going and finding something better on the dyno, how close, let's say they find something on the dyno that they're like, oh, this is way better. How close does that translate once you actually put it on the bike to being equally as better as it is on the dyno?
I'm not super sold on dynos. Don't get me wrong, they have their point. Like if you make changes more at the track based on feedback, you can bring it back, put on the dyno, see what that effect actually looks like to the curve. Maybe take a combination of that information versus what they've been saying to get a further direction to go down. So that's the thing. If they have found a few things, like if there was stuff they tried and Kenny said, this is better, but I need to be 15% more that direction, I need to go farther direction, they can go back and dyno and go, okay, based on, they can go off his feedback, but they can look on paper and go, okay, it did this, this point at the stroke, at this, shaft speed. They can go in there and keep trying stuff to go that percentage on paper and at least go that direction. And also from there, they can also see if certain parts, get something drastically different. They can have a couple ideas to come testing with. But then you still have to bring it back and go off rider feel. And what's really weird is there are certain things with a bike that has to do with how the bike loads and balance. There's certain changes that on a dyno will look insanely small, but a rider will come back and be like, that's huge. Like they will come back and think it's a huge change. And then there's stuff you'll do on the dyno that's big, and you'll bring it to the track, and they'll be like, I don't notice it that much. I usually think of stuff like that, like heavy volume resistance. You can make like a big improvement there, and the guys might not notice it as much. Where again, stuff just based on how the bike weights itself in a corner and settles might look really minor on a dyno, but it might be really big to the rider's feedback they give you.
Okay.
I was just looking at the points and seeing him fifth behind Anderson, Sexton, Tomac, and Cooper. Like, to be honest with you, that's kind of what I expected. It doesn't really like surprise me at all.
No.
It's like everybody's hitting the panic button and stuff. I'm like, man, top 5 on the opportunity that he has. I don't think anything's. That was kind of what I expected.
I'm not super surprised by him being fifth. I'm more surprised that he hasn't been more competitive more often. I thought that he would be running up front with them maybe the first few laps here a lot more, or, just more than he is. There's been some rough races where he's had a couple decent ones, but not what I expected. I thought he could compete for a win at least once or twice.
I had an early hope for it, but like at the same time, you look at the ups and downs he had at HRC when you had all the knowledge and people in the world. And no offense to the HEP team, this is nothing against them. They are well aware of this. They're still building. Talk Larry and certain guys on this program, they were not ready for this, and they knew that. They had to take the chance and the gamble. I get it; it happens. But yeah, how do you take a program like this that just there's some good people in there, but they've all just been kind of assembled together for this year. Some of them. You're on an old platform. You don't have direct factory OEM support for certain components. That means you have to source it more yourself. They're not a team that's been sourcing a lot of custom equipment. You got somebody like Kenny who's definitely been looking for stuff. It didn't go well at Honda, so automatically I'm like, yeah, this nothing that we're seeing right now surprises me. Yeah. I don't know, kind of Oakland layer one. This may be rude, but I'm actually a tick surprised we haven't had more like really bad races. I think he's been decently consistent for what it is. I would actually say I lean a little bit towards I actually think it is going better than maybe I thought it would. By we're talking like 5%, like a very minor amount.
Yeah,
I agree.
Okay. I want to thank WUSA again. WUSA is your source for all things wheels. If you're looking for a complete set of wheels for your bike, we have something for every budget. If you want to use the same wheels used by Eli Tomac, Cooper Webb, Malcolm Stewart, Christian Craig, Chad Reed, and Jeremy McGrath, just to name a few, we have what you need. We have the exclusive W Edge wheel set starting at $799. As the exclusive importer of Hahn, Kite, Talon hubs, as well as Excel and DID rims, we can build your dream wheels. Give us a call. Check out our website, WUSA.com. Use promo code MotoXpod to save. Tonight, WUSA brings us from Star Yamaha, Mr. Daxton Bennick. What's up, Daxton?
What's going on?
Not much, dude. You're running WUSA to that win this weekend?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it was a good weekend for sure.
Yeah, definitely. You've won the first 2 Supercross Futures. What were your expectations going into these things?
Yeah, I expected to win. That was what the team expected also. So the expectations were high, but I knew these goals were definitely achievable. So I was excited. Obviously, my first one being Anaheim 2, really cool experience, honestly. It's good. I think it's a really good step before you have to go into the pro class. Yeah,
we think so too. Was there anything that surprised you at A2 and even at Arlington, just with the program, the day program, the racing, the lights coming on, the fans? Was there anything that you were kind of like, oh wow, this was a little surprising?
Yeah, I would probably say the track. Obviously, it was a little more peaky than I've been practicing on. Nothing crazy really, but obviously, since it's inside of a dome and stuff, it's a good bit tighter too. Like, you come out of the corner, you're straight into the whoops, and like the rhythm, like you're landing, turning immediately. So I would say that's honestly the biggest thing that surprised me the most. But yeah, other than that, it was pretty normal.
Okay.
Hey Daxton, this is Scotty. I wanted to know, this being most likely your last year in amateur racing, it may have been this weekend. What is a bucket list item that you have before you go pro?
So to answer your first question, yeah, I believe this will be my last year in amateur, and I would love to win the Horizon Award at Loretta's for sure. That would be a good way to end my amateur career.
Seems to be a successful formula.
Yeah, ML?
Yeah, for sure.
So I know it's been talked about a little bit that kind of this opportunity with Star was a little bit of we'll call it a tryout or a temporary deal to see how it was going. Of course, so far on track on race day, it's going well. Personally, looking back, do you still ever get nervous at all that you took this kind of chance on this that didn't exactly have a long-term goal, or your long-term goal would be to stay, but maybe from the team there wasn't exactly for sure a long-term option? Do you still get nervous about that at all, or are you starting to feel like you really made the right decision here?
Yeah, obviously when I took the deal, it was a pretty big leap of faith, honestly. I had a pretty good contract from KTM, but I honestly really wanted to be on Star, and I thought if I wanted to be a champion, then Star was going to be able to help me in the best way to do that. So I did. I'm glad I took the deal. At first I was nervous. Now winning the Futures, and I'm riding a lot better now, and I have a lot more confidence now, and I believe that if I keep it up, then, I think it'll be good. My future should be good here. So I'm not as nervous about it anymore, but I'm more confident.
How rough was when you first went down there? I know Star has a reputation for the weeks are intensive. You've got a lot of fast guys down there. You're all kind of on the same program. You got Swanee, you got Jeannie working with you. Was it a little bit of a rude awakening? Were the first couple weeks pretty smooth, or again, kind of that whole did you question yourself at all the first couple weeks when you went down there? Was it a lot to take in?
Yeah, the program's pretty gnarly, obviously. It'll definitely make you tough for sure. Yeah, it took me a couple months really to figure it out and start getting comfortable. But the first few weeks were good, just learning the bike, learning the program, learning the team. I would say it was pretty smooth. I rode Supercross mainly, and then I jumped on outdoor for I think 2 weeks, and then went to Mini-O's. So didn't have much time on outdoor, but I would say it went pretty smooth.
Hey, Daxton, I wanted to ask you, and I don't know what your answer would be exactly, but you had won, I think, 5 Loretta's titles and multiple amateur titles with Orange Brigade. Did you decide to go to Yamaha because you felt that it was the best chance to win a championship, as you said, or did you just feel like you needed a change in general? What brought the change on?
Well, there's a long story to it, honestly, but
okay. You don't have to tell us if you don't want to talk about it.
KTM was good and everything, but I've honestly always wanted to be on Star, and the bike is very good, don't get me wrong, but it's not just the bike. The team it feels like you're actually on a team here,
mm-hmm.
Everyone really wants to help you, and they're always on you to make you better, and they're straight honest with you. So this is, I feel like, the best place for me. Every day, everyone's at the practice track watching, so the pressure's on almost every day. So it's good, and it keeps you accountable for sure. But yeah, I feel like this team is really, really wants to win more than any other team. So yeah, it's good when you're on a team that wants to win.
Yeah, for sure.
One other follow-up I had about the opportunity. If this is a couple years back, I can't remember if this was your Super Mini year or your first big bike year. I feel like it might have been your Super Mini year. When you were with KTM, did you have Star approach you, and you decided to stay put at that point? Kind of this opportunity here is more like the second coming. Was there a very serious conversation at one point in the past?
Yeah, there was. It was my first big bike year. I was, I think, 13 on a 250, and I got second to Levi at Loretta's. So,
you had done your collarbone right before that, right?
What'd you say?
You had broken your collarbone right before that too, right? Didn't you come to Loretta's only
2 weeks before Loretta's? I broke my collarbone. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah. Back to your question. Yeah, they did offer me a deal back then. I still I really wanted to go on Star back then too, but I feel like it was the safe option was KTM at the time. So, looking back, I don't know, maybe I should have went Star earlier, but I feel like this timing now is really good, and I feel like I'm where I should be.
Do you also think staying at KTM is, you'd already done it once, it was a safe option. You had the opportunity with them that was somewhat long-term again to probably go through pro, I would imagine. So even for yourself, like, do you feel like it was a really good point to even challenge yourself to kind of prove to yourself, like, hey, I can step up and do this basically? It's kind of sink or swim. Do you feel like that was actually good for you coming into your pro career instead of maybe staying in a comfortable situation?
Yeah, the thing I worried about it was I didn't know if that comfortable KTM deal would ever get me anywhere, to be honest with you. Yeah. I didn't know if I would ever stay in the same place, you know, so this was a sink or swim type of deal, and I just had to go for it, and that's what I did. And right now it's working really good. I hope it continues to, and I think as long as I put in the work and show the results, then it should be good, and I believe it's going to pay off.
Scotty.
Hey, Daxton. So these two Supercross Futures races that you've done, Arlington and Anaheim 2, those are both really solid crowds. A lot of turnout, a lot of fan cheering and stuff going on. Was that anything that kind of caught you off guard? Overall experience on what you thought of being under the lights in front of the fans?
Yeah. So the first one in Anaheim was definitely a shocker. Like, I rode all day, obviously practicing Friday, then qualifying for Saturday, and then we raced that night, I think around like 8, and you know, I walked out of the tunnel and like the stands were completely filled, and it was definitely shocking. Like, I always dreamed of racing in front of a crowd like that, and you know, it was a dream come true kind of thing. It was a big deal. Like, it shocked me for sure, seeing everyone around like there to watch me. It felt like, so yeah, it was really good.
Hey, Daxton, so ML mentioned you working at the farm with the Star Boys. You've had some time to work with Jeannie Carmichael, who has a pretty great reputation of getting the most out of somebody. And I've heard that she's kind of helps you work in the whoop section. Kind of just talk about working with Jeannie and what she's helped you with and how aggressive she can be.
Yeah, I love Jeannie. She's really good. She helps me a lot. She'll even stay like after what we got to do, our motos or sections or whatever, and help me get better, like where I'm weak at. And I mean, she's really good. She'll help you, and she keeps you very accountable all the time. Like, if you don't get a certain lap time, then you have to redo it, or it's not like that all the time, but there's times where it's like that. So she's hard on me, but she's hard on everyone, and that's what makes us so good, I feel like.
Yeah, I just did an interview with her a couple weeks ago. She's so sweet. It's hard to imagine her being hard on somebody. But you talked about her helping you work on your weaknesses. What do you feel like is your biggest weakness right now?
Probably for Supercross would be just, you know, that intensity, that raw speed is hard for me sometimes at the practice track when the track is, I mean, really all you gotta do is hit the rhythms right and just rail the corners. But that's what's hard for me. It comes easier for me whenever the track is beat up and, you know, it's edgy and the whoops aren't easy. Like, that's when I'm good, and that's why when I can like maneuver the track pretty good. But when it's smooth, it's hard for me just to go kind of balls out. So that's my biggest weakness, I feel like. Yeah, and she helps me a lot with that. Sometimes I'm a little off on the tracks like that, and yeah, but I'm getting better at it.
That makes no sense. That's the only time I can go good is when the track's perfect.
Yeah.
So I was talking to your agent, Beeks. From my understanding, you know, we don't have an exact official answer, but when I also talked to like Jensen and stuff about Loretta's, like they're already talking about, you know, you racing and everything. So are you starting to get kind of more of that indication of like, you know, you have a long-term home at the moment? Do you actually like know for sure yet, or is it still kind of like, okay, I'm just doing my thing here, just proving myself?
Yeah, I don't really know for sure, but you know, I believe if I keep on the right path and keep doing what I'm doing, which there isn't any reason I shouldn't be, but yeah, I think I'll earn that. And yeah, I believe that I love the team, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. So this team's really good, and I believe that I just got to keep putting in the work, and it'll come for sure.
Are you still RV lifing it at the property, or?
Yeah, I'm still in the RV. I'm in it right now.
Scotty.
Hey, so I'm so sorry. I was switching cameras. We had a picture of you on your warm-up bike, like getting ready for the race, and you had your headphones going on. What are we jamming to?
Really anything. I mean, any rock or rap kind of gets me in the mood, gets me in the zone. I don't listen to music really when I'm practicing, but definitely when I'm racing, I like the tunes get me loosened up for sure.
Come on, give us a name drop.
I mean, we can go freaking Metallica,
There we go.
Aerosmith, that Nirvana is pretty good. Sometimes you gotta throw in some rap, Key Glock, what's that? Future. Yeah, anyone really. I like rap and rock.
Michael, Lindsay, I think the next time I do one of my music interview type things, I'm going to have to get Daxton involved. He's got some good picks.
I know. As soon as he named off Metallica instantly, I knew you were stoked.
I lit up. Yeah, that's Daxton.
Good vibes.
You, him, Eli, you're all buddies.
Yeah, Daxton, we'll talk in the future about music. But for now, you mentioned, again, going to Star, and there's more pressures with that team. They have high expectations. I'm sure you've almost always dealt with pressures. How different is it now with the expectations? Do you feel that to a point where it's almost a struggle at all?
Yeah. So I feel the pressure for sure, but I feel like the goals are really achievable. So I don't stress it too much. Like I know that I'm good enough to do it. So I try not to let it get to me, because if I let it get to me, then that could affect my performance. So, I mean, I block it out pretty well, I would say. And I just go do my thing.
ML, you got one?
No, I was making a note for something else.
Okay. Hey, I want to ask you, since we were talking about, the future, what you might be doing, what about Freestone coming up? Is that part of the schedule, or are you just focused on Supercross?
Yeah, so I will be racing Freestone and that Moto Playground race right after that.
Okay.
I'm not doing Daytona this year, but that's the only one I'm not doing.
Okay, cool. I'll be out there. I'm in Texas, so I will see you at the Freestone race. I was just curious. Scotty, you got one? Nope. Okay, well, here's what I want to ask you then. I lost my train of thought, but that's all right. Happens. With the team that you're on, with the riders that you have, Eli and all the 250 riders and Dylan Ferrandis, what kind of advice are you getting from these guys? What, on race day and in practice, can you go to any of them and say, hey, help me out with this?
Yeah. So the 450 side is a little bit more separate kind of, but I mean, I know Dylan pretty well. I can go talk to him, but mainly I'll talk to like Levi or Styles, or if it's the East Coast guys, I'll talk to Jordan or Nate. And, I mean, really anything. Like, in Arlington, I was a couple practices after their time thing. So, I was kind of asking them where they were going in the whoops, like what side they were hitting, and, ask them how the track is going to be and what they think. So, I mean, I can get input from any of those guys. It's definitely helpful.
Yeah, they're pretty forthcoming in helping you with advice, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Good.
To extend that a little bit, as a little guy, who was your hero? Who was your guy?
Whenever I was young, like before 10, I loved Ryan Villapoto. And then I started liking Dungey for a long time. Then I would say after that, Cooper Webb, probably. So, yeah, those are the guys.
Right on.
Yeah, I was curious. I know you and Hayden are really close. Getting to watch his first couple pro races here and how it's going for him. As I said, there's things you can learn from the big guys on the team, the big men on campus. But watching Hayden go through what you will likely be going through next year, what have you learned the most from watching Hayden's first 3 races? Is there anything you really taken away from that?
Obviously, the first thing that comes to my head would be starts. Starts are really, really important. If he gets a good start, maybe he don't have the speed to run with him for the whole moto, but it helps him out a lot, and it separates him from the chaos and the people behind him. So if he gets a good start, he's a top 5 guy. We've seen that. So, I would say starts, and just being smooth. Like there's a lot of chaos in the East class, I feel like right now.
Daxton, the last one I have for you. On the podium, you said that you did not feel fast. What did you mean by that? Did you literally just feel like you were going slow, or did you just feel off? What did you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, like, I was being straight honest. I felt very slow. Like, my whoops were pretty solid. They were really beat, so I was trying not to crash really. But I just wasn't hitting the corners like I feel like I should have been. I was managing kind of. The track was really beat up, and I was a little like I had like half of me wanted to just be smart, and that's kind of what I did. But another half, like I wanted to send it and see really how fast I could go. But I didn't want to take a risk of crashing. But honestly, I did like that track was pretty slow already. It felt like, especially compared to Anaheim too. So, yeah, I just felt like everything was coming at me in slow motion. The track was really rough, so it wasn't nearly as fast as qualifying.
Okay, gotcha. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you jumping on with us for a little bit. It's been great talking to you, and look forward to seeing you at Freestone here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. I'll see you there.
Absolutely. Daxton Bennick tonight, brought to you by WSA. Daxton, have a good night and appreciate you.
All right, you too. Thank you, guys.
All right, see ya. All right, yeah, that was good stuff, man. Good getting to know him just a little bit. Yeah, what do we want to go to next, ML? Let's see. What about?
Do we know how to pronounce Julian's name before he comes on? I've heard there's some pronunciation. People from Texas can't pronounce stuff. I heard.
He's not from Texas.
He said he should be on in about 5 to 10 minutes, and he told me Beaumer.
Yeah, Julien Beaumer.
Beaumer. I don't know if who is this person from Texas that can't pronounce it?
I thought that's what I heard. Heard last. Whose name did you guys butcher last week?
Was it me? Did I butcher it?
Oh, I don't know. That's a possibility.
There was one that like had letters added into it that don't exist. I heard there was a joke about Texans can't like pronounce or something weird. So I was giving you guys.
Oh, I think you did add an L to somebody's name.
Oh, yeah. Geisler. Yeah.
Geisler.
Yeah. Geisler.
Geisler. Yeah. Where does the L come from?
I did it just like. I probably said it wrong. I didn't even realize it. I just kind of slipped. I have a little bit of
watch the GPs either, but I'm in now. I'm in.
You're in. I hope so, because you got beat at Star Wars versus MXGP trivia.
Well, Lewis got lucky.
I think what it is I think the way the announcer in the MXGP says it kind of makes me think that it had an L. I've seen it with a J, and I've obviously realized that.
Yeah. I don't know. Listen, ML. People make mistakes sometimes.
All the time.
Excuse me, Mr. Perfect.
Before we get Juju on, let's talk about Joey Savacci and Adam Cianciarulo at Arlington, ML. Both wrist injuries, quote unquote. We don't know the exact details on either one completely. I heard Savacci thinks he's going to be okay. AC, was there an announcement made yet?
No, but he's going to be out for a few weeks, it sounds like. The thing that worries me about AC situation is he rode press day. Nothing happened that any of us saw. I don't know if he OJ'd anything. I saw him talk. I know a few people that walked back with him and talked to him, and they didn't even have a clue they'd heard it. Didn't say anything. So, again, when you just read between the lines with wording, I didn't like that the PR said they had aggravated something.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, I might be reading into this too far, but typically you aggravate existing injuries. You don't. You create. If they would say he jammed it and hurt it, that would be one thing. But to say he aggravates, it's like, there's probably something that was already tweaked, especially enough that he's missing potentially a couple of rounds. So that's a bit worrisome when it comes to the wrist. And then it sounds like Joey's good. He took a big digger. Depending on the AC situation, also, I'm kind of wondering what does it look like for Joey. Of course, Joey's been getting a little bit of backdoor help from those guys and Ryan Cowie's. He wants to be that built-in guy when it happens. So his deal is kind of through this weekend at Daytona, but then after that, I don't know. Maybe we see him on AC's bike for a couple rounds if he has to sit out. I know I talked to Rick Ware this weekend. I know they'd like to keep helping him for the rest of the year, but as well, they've got him, I believe, now locked down for World SX, and that's their big focus with him. So I don't think they'd also have a problem. It's just been them trying to kind of put together a program to help him. So I think they would also still be very cool with that. And I think that's what Joey's kind of told him the whole time is, look, the only place I'd really go is to go ride that bike. So I would say we see Joey on the Rick Ware bike more than likely this weekend, but I would not shock me if the next week or two we see him moonlighting over on EC's bike, depending on what that issue actually looks like. But to circle back, I'm a little worried because of the way it was worded in the situation.
Well, we know that PR for these teams sometimes misrepresents or makes mistakes. Maybe AC just said, I'm really aggravated. And they said, oh, you aggravated. Maybe that's all that happened, ML. Maybe he was just aggravated.
Hopefully.
I don't know. But I did see, Scotty, I saw Joey Savacci over at the Pro Circuit rig. Every time I walked by there, he was inside. So I do think there's something to that, and I would be thrilled for him to get that opportunity. Last year on the factory Kawasaki, he killed it outdoors.
Yeah, it's interesting because
why?
Because it's just like, it's funny how they both, Savacci and AC, like end up in this situation at the exact same time. Like, I just feel so bummed for AC. That's really all I can think of is I'm just like, again.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel so bad for the guy. Every time I talk to him, ML, he's trying to stay positive. We've heard him on Pulp and different shows where he's like, look, that's where I'm at in my life. I'm finding the positive in things. It's got to be difficult, though. Any of these guys, same with Ken Roxon, it eventually, as a human being, these things get to you, but it seems like he's staying up right now, positive-wise, mentally.
Yeah, I feel for AC, just kind of, difference in approach. We're trying to build this year, and stuff still happens. It's just, it's tough. People always will be pretty critical of riders. Like, they need to do this different. They need to do that. Well, it shows even when a guy changes their perspective, their outlook, their approach. Like, it sucks, man. Dirt bikes jack us up pretty good. The more all these injuries pick up, I'm just always, I get it. I'm not a guy that likes to wear a lot of protection when I ride, but man, it's just over and over. Like,
there's a joke there, by the way.
What was that?
There's a joke there, by the way.
What was that?
You don't like to wear a lot of protection when you ride.
Do we have a sponsor for that?
Not yet. We'll have to talk to our sponsor.
Hey, get a hold of 60, see if we can get that worked out. Great. No, I just feel for these guys, like, I don't know. There's definitely a part of them, like, man, we kind of put ourselves in these positions, though, a little bit. You know what I mean? In the sense of, and we're doing that dangerous sport. We're not really willing to gear up for it most of the time. It doesn't shock me that we just continue to have these guys get hurt. I think it makes me look back on somebody like Carmichael's or Dundee's career. I think especially like Dundee's, like, just some of those guys I look up to so much more respect-wise. I'm like, I don't know if they did something with their off the bike training to just be more resilient, just how they picked and choose their battles. But it is really hard to get through this sport without, just getting jacked up basically every year.
Definitely. Hey, I want to bring up Andy Gregg and the Guts Racing crew have been providing the best seats and foam in the industry for years. For 2023, they have added Kawasaki to their complete seat lineup, as well as the color teal to the gripper material options available. Also new for 2023 are options for e-bikes. They have complete seats for the Teleria, Super 73, and covers for the Segway and Suron. And they have options for the Honda, KTM, and Husqvarna electric bikes. Tonight, Guts Racing brings us from the Orange Brigade, Juju Beaumer. What's up, Juju?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. So first things first, do you prefer to be called by the nickname or by your first name, Julien?
By the nickname, yeah.
Okay, and did I say it right? Beaumer?
Yeah.
Perfect. We were discussing that. I asked you specifically how to say it, but I want to make sure I got it right. Dude, 2 Supercross Future races down, 1 on a Yamaha, 1 for Orange Brigade. We got a lot to talk about. How do you feel about this weekend with the Orange Brigade? Daniel Blair sneaking in, getting you signed.
Yeah, it was really good. Definitely there were some unknowns on how I was going to feel on the bike with only a couple hours on it. We weren't 100% sure if I was even going to race until, honestly, probably the Monday of the race. We were still skeptical. Where's my speed out on the bike? And I was feeling pretty good. So we decided, well, we'll give it a go, get some racing time on it, and just try to learn, see where I'm at against those guys on a good rough track last week and improve from there.
Well, you were definitely fast, dude. Qualified second, finished third. I think you had a little bit of a bad start that you had to work through, but yeah, you were definitely fast and looked comfortable, especially for just having a little bit of time on the thing.
Yeah, thank you. It was It was definitely for me different. Obviously, I only had a couple days on the bike, and we were still working on suspension, trying to get me comfortable. And that was a track I've never ridden the track anything like that. It was definitely a hard learning experience to figure out the track in the main event, especially the whoops. They were brutal. So we were jumping around with suspension settings all day, trying to find something that would work with that track, because we were testing in California, and when you come to a track like that, it's definitely a different ball game.
Definitely.
I was curious, so it's a big adjustment to see you on Orange Brigade. Sounds like from talking to those guys, it's definitely a long-term commitment. They're really interested in bringing you all the way to pro. They see something, they definitely see something in you and want to explore that. Can you tell people, for maybe that don't know a lot about your background, kind of what your past couple of years have been like in amateurs? What program you've been on, what it was like to get to this point. And one last little piece to that is, I'd heard a rumor, I don't know if it was late last year, I'd heard a rumor about a potential maybe star test that you had participated in. Again, just kind of trying to explain to people like kind of what your background is and where you've been at before getting this opportunity with KTM.
Yeah, the last couple of years, I jumped on a 250 pretty early. I was on one when I was 14, and that was when I was still with Suzuki in the amateur. So I was on that bike for a little bit, and then I went to JMC Husqvarna. They helped me out for a little bit. I won a Loretta's title with them, and then I was with EVR last year. They helped me out a ton, getting me through last year and providing me with a good bike. And we had some good results. I mean, Loretta's was pretty good despite a couple crashes, a couple little things on my end. And then I went to Mini O's. I was really good on the bike at the time, and I was really happy with where I was at speed wise. I had a good first portion of Supercross, and I had a just pretty big crash with Janik came together, and that was a hard one to take because I felt like I was really good on the bike at the time, and I was really contending for the titles that week. And Star called me. I went there for 2 days. I rode with them, and they really just didn't have anything. They had a lot of guys. They have a lot of guys, obviously, so there was nothing really there. But they said with Hayden moving up, there's a potential opening if Hayden does move up. And then so I kept working. I switched trainers to Davey Millsaps, and that was, I think, a big change for me that I needed. A new environment to be around, new people to be around, and that I feel like was really what got me going right before Futures.
I was gonna say, I think if I remember right, at least when I used to see you locally on Suzuki and the JMC, I think you were working with Yannick at the time. I know he's very big on technique. He worked with Joe. He's worked with a lot of guys that have a really great style on the bike. He works very heavily on that. I feel like Davies, maybe works more with like intensity in certain things. Was that kind of like, what was the big difference between the programs? Like, what helped you the most as you're making this transition to, really trying to show people what you can do on a Supercross track?
I think a lot of it was just, I was with Yannick for 6 years. I trained alongside Joe for a while, and then Joe moved. So I was kind of there alone. I mean, I had Preston Baseflug was training with me also, but I was getting faster on Supercross, and for me, I felt like I was just kind of stuck at a spot where I was stuck in a certain pace that I couldn't get out of, and I just needed almost to be around faster guys like Dean, faster guys to be around, just to have something to chase after and to push with. And Davey's also very tough and very, very hard on me. So every day's been really good, and he always gets the best out of me every day, no matter if I'm having a hard day or not. He he definitely pushes me to be better every day. And I feel like that was a big thing that I needed.
So after A2 qualifying, when you went out, you were number 1 on the board. I remember walking through the pits, and all of a sudden, it sucks. You've had some really good results as an amateur, but that really, like, all of a sudden I'm just hearing some of the mid-level teams walk around, and all of a sudden your name is just, like, everywhere in the paddock that afternoon. How many phone calls did you get the next week? Did your phone start blowing up quite a bit? Were you, stoked with the amount of response you got from it, or?
Yeah, I was really stoked. Honestly, I was quite surprised with myself that day. I had been pretty good at the practice track, but I mean, obviously, when I was at Star, Deegan was running 3-4 seconds faster than me every lap. So I mean, it was like, where was I going to stack up? And I had known Deegan was going to come in fast. Obviously, he's been training with those guys, and I saw his speed when I was there. So I was honestly quite surprised. For me, I really like those tracks where you got big rhythms out of the corners, like big 3 in, big 3 ons. And I felt like the Anaheim 2 track suited me pretty well because you had those big lines that were fast. So I felt like that suited me quite well, but I definitely wasn't coming in there expecting to qualify like that. And I'd known, like, at my speed at the practice track, I could do it multiple laps. So I'd known my fitness was there, and I just didn't know where my speed was going to be if I was there. And when I went out there, I saw P1 on the board, and I came back into the pits, and I was like, wow, like that felt good. I felt strong. I felt consistent. I felt smooth. I didn't feel like I was out of control. And they all just told me, they said, a lot of people were watching. You need to stay calm. You need to stay confident, and you need to not focus on all the stuff around you. So I stayed kind of in my motorhome all day, the rest of the day till the night show. Just tried to listen to music, not focus on too much, and I just wait till after the race to really know like what was going on and who had been talking about me. But
to take it all in.
Take it all in and just really think about what I want to do going forward. Because obviously I was really comfortable on the bike I was on. And we were all quite, like, when we got the call from KTM, we were just like, we're in a really good spot right now with the bike. Will we like the bike? Obviously it's a completely different frame, completely different chassis. So we're like, well, will we like the bike? Will I gel with the bike? And that was the first day I got on the bike. I mean, I felt right at home right away, and all those guys over there were really helpful.
Nice.
Yeah. The point of these futures is, obviously experience and just kind of taking it steady and just getting results. Did you feel that you had to, like, kind of change your mindset from maybe most of your amateur career, where it's like gate drop, hammer down? Did you have to redo what you've kind of always done in the past?
Yeah, for sure. For me, Anaheim was really just get a good result. And when the gate dropped, I just went back to the hammer down right away. And obviously it costed me. I cased the triple on lap 1 when I shouldn't have jumped it, and my bars folded. So that was something like when we went to Arlington this week, it was solely get through the first couple laps, be smart, let's finish the race, and let's build from here.
I want to ask you about that. So you guys were kind of making fun, I guess, of your dad. Was the bars just weren't tight enough, and was that actually on your dad?
He doesn't like too much when I talk about it, but
okay, we can skip over it. You answered it. You don't have to even say.
It was a combination of that. We were running the X-Trig triple clamps, and they have those like rubber, like spacer things.
Yeah.
And we had gotten told after that they have to be tightened often, and they're hard to tighten because of those rubber mountings.
Gotcha.
So I think it was just he claims they were tight enough, but I don't know.
Clearly not.
Yeah, those little polymers sack out a little bit. You do have to like almost kind of keep tightening them. Well, if anything, it's just like say, it kept the mystery there. The lap time was great in qualifying. We had the bars go down. It kept the mystery alive. Like, what can this kid do? What can he do?
Right.
I had those X-Trade clamps on my bike, and I've not tightened them, and it's done the same thing to me. So
Yeah, because you don't tighten a lot of bolts apparently.
Yeah, I'm not a mechanic.
Yeah, Juju, he didn't tighten his drain bolt the last time he rode.
Yeah.
Now he doesn't have a bike. Blew it up.
I don't get it.
Anyway, go ahead.
You go ahead.
Okay. So, I was going to ask about the handlebars, but you already kind of got into that. How different was the Yamaha from the KTM? What specifically stands out? Maybe better, or maybe something that was better with the KTM?
What just stood out to me the most was how good the KTM turned compared to the Yamaha. I felt like it's just so much more planted, especially like on a drier, slicker track where you need to find as much traction and roll speed as possible. I felt like that's where it really excelled compared to the Yamaha, where like with the Yamaha on a flat track, I was really struggling to find a groove, find a flow, and to really get into a flow. And I felt like right when I hopped on the KTM, it was like a natural roll speed. And the bike just worked well almost everywhere on the track. And it's just really, the power delivery is so good. And I felt like they also had a very good suspension setup right away when I got on it. So that was definitely very good.
At your age, being a younger kid, how do you feel you are as a tester? Can you find things and feel the differences pretty easily and know where you want to go?
Yeah. I feel like I'm pretty good. Obviously, I'm still learning quite a bit. But I've been down in Florida all this week, and definitely the tracks here are a lot different. And I felt like that's almost taught me what I can feel and what I don't feel, and what I like and what I don't like. And riding rougher tracks, ruddier tracks, it's definitely helped me learn the bike a lot more and know what I like and don't like.
Okay.
At this point in your career, dedication is obviously one of the main things that you have to do to get to where you want to go. Where do you find most of your motivation? Is it internal? Is it kind of come from your peers around you? How do you feel you get motivated?
A lot of it is just thinking back to when I was younger and the dream I had of being a champion one day. I just think of that, and I want to fulfill that dream and live that dream out and be a champion. So that a lot of it comes from that, and just making sure I do everything every day to not leave any stones unturned and fulfill that dream.
Julien Beaumer tonight, brought to us by Guts Racing. ML, you got another?
Yeah, I have one more. So in the past, the Orange Brigade program is fairly wide-reaching. They have a lot of kids between all three of the brands that they help to different levels. Yourself and Preston are kind of more on an elite program. I know that Blair's worked on to get you guys on, with a lot more internal help from KTM. However, I think a lot of people look at the Orange Brigade program and they don't really know how it maps out to pro. I went up to Daniel at Oakland. He came up to me and goes, "Hey, I got somebody," and we were kind of talking about it, and I teased him about how I got you, and he's like, "Oh, we got this guy locked down. Back off," like being a smart ass. We were joking, but it seems like, again, their commitment to you is very long term. Can you give us a little bit of insight, kind of like what does the path look like for you now with KTM? Like, what is your guys' goals? What have they talked to you about in terms of where you go from doing futures with them over the next couple of years?
Obviously my goal is to move out of the futures and go up to the factory team and race for them in the next coming years. We'll really see where I'm at the end of this year. I may stay down and race A class again next year, just to get a little more experience and a little more time to really mature and grow into going pro. But we'll see at the end of this year. See how well I do. See how I do at Loretta's. See how I do at the combines and the rest of the future series, and even moving into off season. See how much I improve when I get back on Supercross. See if the speed is there. If it is, maybe we decide to go pro. It'll really depend on where I'm at.
Sure. Juju, you mentioned at the first Supercross Futures that you kind of stayed in your RV and kind of kept to yourself. Did the one this weekend at Arlington, did anything change? Were you a little more comfortable? Did you get out and about? Did it feel any different just for yourself decompressing during the day?
No, not really. I kind of just I stayed in the motorhome and just listened to music, tried to focus on the end goal and focus on going out there and finishing the race in a good spot. And I went in the motorhome right before the main event. I rewatched Arlington from last year. I watched the 250 main right before, see what the track was like, and just really focused on making sure I put my notes down and went out there prepared.
Nice.
When you see that there's people waiting 3 or 4 hours for Hayden's signature, first of all, what do you think of that? And if you were in those shoes, what would that do for you and your confidence?
Wait, sorry, what was that? It cut out.
No, it's okay. So seeing that there was a line of 3 to 4 hours waiting for Hayden's autograph, I saw that line when I was in the pits. What do you think of when you see that? And is putting yourself in that shoes, is that something that you would want? Obviously, if you have that, then you're going to be very popular and doing well. But what do you kind of think of that whole situation?
Yeah, I feel like that's obviously a really good thing. He has a big fan base and a lot of supporters that want to get his autograph and take photos with him. I feel like that's also big for a rider's confidence, knowing that there's that many people supporting him and supporting and hoping he does good. And I feel like that's a big thing that a lot of the top guys almost like, because it helps them. Like, they know when they go out there, there's people that are rooting them on and people that want to see them win. And I feel like that's motivating to go out and have something to race for, want to make the fans happy and put on a good show.
Definitely. Last thing I got for you, Juju, is I was doing some research before you came on, and I read that you won a stand-up jet ski world championship. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it is.
That's cool, man. I've never even rode a stand-up jet ski, let alone won a championship.
Hey, this kid grew up in the land of stand-up jet skis. Lake House City has been the home of the World Finals for jet ski racing for as long as I can think of.
That's cool, though, Juju. I mean, just talk about that, like what that was like and what that meant to you. That's a different sport, but maybe some stuff translates, maybe?
Yeah, so back in like the 1990s, my dad was a factory mechanic in France for Yamaha, and they flew him into the U.S. to work for their factory jet ski team. So he was always around jet skis. He has a shop in Havasu as well. So right when I was 2, he already had me riding jet skis and that stuff. So it was natural to me. I felt like it definitely correlates to moto for sure. It's a good cross training. There's no sitting down, a lot of standing up, a lot of weight on the legs and the back. So it's definitely good for cross training, I feel like. And I think I heard there was a time where James was riding jet skis for training at one point in his career too, when he was with Alden, I'm pretty sure. So I feel like that definitely correlates going into moto. And yeah, it was, I mean, I don't ride jet skis as much now because I'm focused on racing and becoming a champion in motocross, but I think I raced 5-6 world finals, and I think 7 world titles
Nice.
at the World Finals. And then I won a King's Cup championship in Thailand 1 year too.
That's very cool, man. Very cool. What were you, ML, you were trying to say something a second ago.
Oh, I was just saying on the jet ski one, somebody who was really infamous for training on one was Porcel. Porcel was really big deal. I know Marv did a little bit, but yeah, Porcel was one that was like, that was his thing. Training was riding stand-up jet ski at Elsinore.
Scott, you got one more question, and we'll let Juju go.
Awesome. I was going through your Instagram, and it seems to be strictly moto stuff. I think that's good to like show that you're dedicated to it. Is there anything outside of that you do? Or are you just like 100% in on moto?
I'm 100% in on moto. I've set the jet ski thing aside to focus a lot on moto. It's mainly moto. My girlfriend races horses, so after I'm done with all my training and whatnot, I'll go help her with her horses sometimes. But other than that, it's strictly moto.
Man, a horse will kill you. I stay away.
Wait, what was that?
Things that can think for
I said a horse will kill you.
Think for themselves.
Dude, I'm scared of horses, man. My ex was into horses, and her horse bucked me or just spun around and kicked me, and it scared the crap out of me. I'm out.
There's no breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get on them too much. I'm scared of them having another brain.
Yeah, exactly. That's what ML just
I
said.
I don't like when something else can control me.
No doubt, no doubt.
Exactly. A lot of my dad's side of the family does a lot of ranch stuff up in Utah, and they've tried to get me on horses so much. I always tell them, they're like, well, you're not afraid of dirt bike. I'm like, look, when I crash on a dirt bike, it's 99% of the time it's my own stupidity and my own fault. I'm good with that. I'm like, I don't like the idea of something that can choose to just throw me off if it wants to. I'm not okay with this.
Juju Beaumer, man, really great talking to you, getting a chance to know you a little bit. Will I see you at Freestone in a couple weeks?
No, I'll be at Daytona this weekend.
Okay.
I'm gonna sit Freestone and those ones out.
Yep.
Just so we can get more time on the bike and get to outdoor testing to get ready for the combines.
Sounds good, Juju. Great talking to you. Appreciate you coming on, and look forward to seeing you race in the future, man.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. Yep. I really appreciate it, and talk to you guys soon.
Sounds good. Have a good night.
You too.
All right. That's Juju Beaumer, brought to you tonight by Guts Racing. Man, I like talking to these the new kids, ML. It's just fun getting to know them. They're the future of the sport.
It's just nice that a podcast does this, unlike a certain one out there that does not care about amateur racing.
Speaking of that, so Hayden, I literally heard Hayden say this weekend, I was not the one that asked him, but he's like, yeah, I won't do pulp because Steve's kind of a dick to amateurs. So then this Monday night, I can't remember who he was talking to. Oh, Christian, I think. Christian's like, you should get Hayden on. And Steve was like, yeah, I will. And I'm wondering, once the request comes in, I'm sure Hayden will do pulp, but it'll be funny. I told Hayden, I said, just remember, just like Ryder D, we've had you on the show. We've talked to you for a lot of years. We're your show. And he goes, oh yeah, you got my back. So we'll see. But yeah, I agree with that's funny that you say that. What'd you think of Juju there, Scotty?
Man, we have a lot of these guys that are getting toward the end of their career in the 450 class, and we're really looking to see who's going to be up and coming. And I'm glad to see that there's especially this futures program, and there's guys like him excelling in it. And I'm really excited to see what the future holds.
Got a few more things I want to talk about, ML, before we wrap this thing up. I'd also want to thank one of our sponsors, Prox. Prox is rooted in racing from motocross to off-road. Speaking of off-road, we need to talk about that in just a minute. Supporting teams like Pro Circuit Kawasaki, my team, and Pro Yamaha, and SLR Honda. Prox has been dedicated to supplying quality components since 1975. From complex jobs like an engine rebuild to simple maintenance like filters, chains, and sprockets, Prox aims to bridge the gap between OE quality and affordability. I like that too. Find Prox at your local dealer or online retailer. Visit prox-usa.com to search parts for your bike and follow Prox Racing Parts on social media. ML, that's going to be one of my sponsors this weekend.
Yeah, please don't run Zacho's bike into a tree.
Yeah, okay, ML, more likely to happen. Darkside finishes.
Oh, that's happening.
Or we have a new soundbite of, oh, that's Zach Osborne's bike I just booked up.
Well, I won't be running my GoPro.
I could see both. I could see both of them happening at the exact same time. The problem is, the last time he quit on a GNCC, he wasn't even jacked up. The problem is now he's so committed. He's so committed. Not as jacked up as I was. Don't even start with me.
That is true.
Don't even start with me.
I didn't know how hurt you were. If I'd known how hurt you were, maybe I would have kept going.
I kept going. You didn't find out till afterwards. I was riding around with dislocated
Wait,
ribs and a broken rib the whole race.
Oh, rib?
I dislocated 2 ribs and broke one.
Yeah.
I thought I broke a collarbone. I did not. Well, listen. I will be racing the GNCC at, I don't even know how you say it, Palatka, Florida?
Palatka, yeah, north of Daytona by about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Cool part is it's kind of part of that old Daytona weekend. A lot of guys wander up there and watch the pro race on Sunday. And if you're in Daytona, you can, if you want to get up a little bit earlier on Sunday, come up for the 10 a.m. morning race. You can see how our friend Jamie Guida will perform.
Yeah.
We can take bets. We can stand alongside the track if you like. We can do tours. We'll find some spots out in the woods to
throw stuff at me.
Cheer him on and maybe pick him up off the ground a couple times.
If there's no GoPro, does the finish really exist?
Yeah, it'll be on
GNC.
GNC.
Trust me, I'll be there standing to get proof. You will see if he actually rides across that finish line or if he just rides it straight back to the truck. We will have proof.
I told Zacho it might be a really, really, really long single lap, but I will be finishing.
They're like pulling the flat. They're
breathing.
pulling the signs down and stuff.
But I will be.
I already know what's going to happen. This dude's going to have bleeding hands by the end. He picked probably the roughest one of the year to race.
That's what I keep hearing.
Because it's like sand and just roots. And
I don't know.
It's just sand rollers everywhere and tree roots. It's probably the most naturally best yes for somebody that's a moto background, but it's brutal. It is.
Can't wait.
I know it's kind of hard to do right on the spot, but dude, like, let's make a bet. I really don't think that you'll finish.
Oh, F you. I'll finish.
Let's make a bet. I don't know. Michael, help us out.
$20?
Or I was thinking like, something more at stake, like not money wise, just something, I don't know.
You come up
with steak dinner?
Something.
I'm in because I'm finishing. Unless I'm physically not capable, like I'm laying on the track or in an ambulance, I'm finishing this freaking race. Or if the bike, if I blow up Zacho's bike or something, I mean, I guess if I'm really, really tired, I'll just.
All right, well, let's do $20.
We've already seen these Yamahas don't blow up, so I guess I'm going to have to finish. But I will be supporting Prox, and I will be in my X brand goggles because they are also, besides quietly growing into one of the premier goggle choices for privateers, they're using some of the most grueling conditions by the 2022 GNCC XC2 champion Lyndon Snodgrass and the 2022 GNCC ATV Pro champion Bryson Hill, as well as Factory Huskies Craig DeLong, supported by our buddy mechanic Cade O'Grady. I'll be in the X brand goggles. If you too want to wear X brand goggles, go to your local dealer and ask for X brand distributed through WPS. I'm excited about this thing, though, ML. It's going to be a fun weekend. I think I will finish. So we're just going to move on from that. Let's get back to Dallas, Arlington, just for a moment. 250 class. Thrasher wins this thing with a 2.23. The guy was super, super fast. I'll go to you first, Scotty. He was fast all day. Even, I wonder how well he would have done with no crashes, no issues, and Hunter having how he would compare to Hunter's lap times. I didn't pull the lap times, but Thrasher was ripping.
Yeah, he definitely had some speed, and it was cool to see. What I thought was the craziest thing is all the carnage that happened, especially in that last one. I don't think I've ever seen so much like carnage and and then nothing changed. Like literally didn't affect the results at all.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like the 450s. The same three guys are on the podium with all the carnage. But I was very impressed, ML, with Thrasher. And of course they harped on a lot him having the torn ACL. Clearly didn't bother him. I've heard all the time that you can be fine with no ACL. It wasn't really even a factor. But I thought Thrasher was fantastic, and I wonder if he can compete with Hunter head-to-head on a regular basis as he builds confidence.
We talked a little bit on post about this. I think that, the speed is very encouraging. I think what's interesting for the championship in general is Jordan's speed can be there at moments. Max is really consistent. I would say compared to the other coasts, at least we have a chance at a championship battle. We'll see what Thrasher can do the next couple rounds. But at least he has the opportunity to not only be able to win and try to claw back some points, Jordan is having some good moments. He could get in between him and Hunter on the right night. Maybe Max can, which is a danger. However, of course, it can. It's very easy. Oh yeah, it can go the other way. Well, Thrasher is already down, so no brainer there. But in his case, he's a little bit down, but there's definitely a chance for him to come back. I would definitely say on the night, I thought he was the better rider. I thought he was faster. He was faster across 2 mains, but I just thought overall he was on point a little bit more tonight. It was kind of funny. We brought it up last one that, hey, we've heard he's hurt. Now it's kind of out there. Yeah, the ACL. Throwback. One other rumor that I heard today that I'd heard that he's not been on the bike this week was the rumor I'd heard.
Heard that too.
Due to some small with that. So, yeah, we'll see. Daytona could be a little bit tougher on that thing. We'll see. I'm also a little worried if it is bugging him. Does he dab it? Does it put him back out? But at least we have a 250 championship battle, a potential one, where West is just gone at this point.
Yeah, I agree. Scotty, Jordan Smith, ML mentioned him. Obviously fast at times, but still just the crashes. A lot of mistakes. I think race 3, he had 2 crashes, or maybe even 3. Multiple issues. Guy's got to figure that out. He's known for it. It's kind of his MO, but if you could figure that out, he definitely a podium, or going to continue to be a podium contender, maybe get some wins.
It's crazy that the most consistent person that's benefit the most from being consistent, even though his last race was a little bit iffy, is Hayden sitting in third in points. He hasn't even been on the podium in the main, and he's third in points.
You say Hayden's third in points?
Yeah.
Is that right?
He was.
I thought he got bounced out after that last round.
Maybe I thought that I saw afterwards that he was still
going.
there.
He was going into it. I thought.
Okay,
he was there.
maybe he did bounce out.
Okay.
I thought that I had saw that it was, but
Yeah.
maybe I misread that. But it's crazy that like these older guys are the ones having the issues. Like he has so much
Jordan's
speed with Jordan.
Kind of had that.
I know, but
he got taken out at the beginning of their third race when Mosman went down.
Thrasher is third in points. Hayden is tied for fourth in points with J-Mart.
Okay. But still, yeah, I didn't even realize. I thought he was fourth. So, I mean, I didn't even have a thought that he was
I don't know
third,
why.
so
maybe I hadn't seen one that was refreshed.
He was going in. He was third in the points going
maybe
into the
that's
round.
what I saw.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I didn't even realize that. But, yeah, I wish Jordan could figure this out because I like the guy, and he's clearly fast enough. It's just kind of like Chase, just God dang it, just stop doing that. Those 2 crashes there at the end. I mean, the whoops were just breaking down, though, ML, and that's where I think he crashed maybe both times in the whoops. I can't remember. I mean, shit, I couldn't ride through those things. What, Scotty?
I was just going to say, the question I want to ask, is even though it was a little bit of a luck situation, whatever you want to call it, does this really boost J-Mart into what we wanted him to be this season?
I don't think so.
Okay, so you gotta backpedal there or backstep. What was he supposed to be this weekend?
Yeah, that's
year?
the thing.
Well, I think I would have put him in top 3.
Really? See, I wouldn't have.
Really?
Okay.
I just like J-Mart. I just like J-Mart.
I thought third to fifth. I do think, talking to him afterwards, yeah, he knows it's a gift. He actually, so I was at Club MX last week for a day, and J-Mart's ripping during the week, just insane. And we talked about on Friday, he was like kind of asking me about, he was kind of surprised to see me that week when we were PSing, and he was like, it's kind of funny. He's like, man, you saw how he was ripping on Wednesday, right? I'm like, yeah, you were hauling the mill. He goes, I just can't bring it to a race weekend. He goes, I just suck. He was so bored about it. He was just like, I don't know. So he said he's, trying to figure that part out because it's definitely not watching a week. Like he is going, what I saw on Wednesday, it's like, okay, this dude should be on the podium every week. Speed's still definitely there. And he kind of kept commenting, like, I know people think like maybe it's the bike, maybe it's the program. He goes, it's really just me. Yeah, he was happy to get that win, but everything before that he said was worse than the 2 rounds before. Yeah. I think he's really banking, like we joked about, he's definitely, rubbing the hands together a little bit for Daytona this weekend. I think that'll definitely be, I would position this weekend as being more of a chance to put himself up into podium more permanently. I really don't know if last weekend really brings enough momentum for him. He's definitely excited about it, and I think it was a bit of a monkey off the back, but I also think he's very honest with himself and knows that, yeah, the rest of the night wasn't not good either. So
yeah.
And I think that's a really interesting part coming into Daytona is sidestepping a little bit is what this weekend does for each guy. It's like, okay, we know Thrasher is good at stadium style speedway tracks. He's been really solid at those type of venues. Hunter will be great. Jordan can go past at this event too. Like the 3 guys that we know can go past are going to go past. I would think with a little bit more outdoor-esque, a little rougher conditions, I would lean towards like, okay, Anstey should be better this weekend, but I'm also worried because the one round where we had one sand section, his bike was overheating. And I know they've got a good Supercross spec, but I don't know if they have a bike that works maybe under load as well. So I'm kind of worried that'll counteract his performance, you know. And then of course we have the positive with J Mart. You know, he's good at this event. I actually think he would be a little bit better or get a little bit more out of it than Max.
Okay.
Yeah, a little boost before a boost was that with that win. I think what surprises me the most about J Mart is not the fact that he's been in that 4th, 5th, 6th. It's the fact of how far back he's been off the podium. I think that's what surprised me the most.
Yeah, I think he's very much focused anyway on he wants to go after that outdoor title.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's going to push the limit too much in Supercross. Let's move on just a little bit. We're running a little low on time. I want to talk about a couple of things real quick. Daytona thoughts in general, ML. I think this could be an argument. I think most everybody's saying Eli's going to win, but I don't totally agree with that. And just a side note, not that I think he's going to win, RJ is in for the 450 class. That's going to be just a little added something to keep an eye on. But as far as the contenders, I'm going with Chase Sexton. We haven't got to our 60 picks yet, but I'm going with Chase until he wins because he's my pick every week until he wins, damn it.
I think you need to get off the ship. You're not helping.
Maybe you're right.
It's like betting
don't quit trying to ride Lotus's coattails here. Let him take full control. I mean, you're rocking the boat at this point, man. I'm still going to lean towards. I'm a big statistics guy.
Yeah.
Eli gets it done at this round. I cannot doubt him. I don't, like I said earlier when we touched this, I think this is the most likely opportunity in years past. Like even when Eli was having bad years on the Cowie, we'd show up at Daytona and everybody was just like, yep, Eli's probably going to win this weekend. Doesn't matter that he's been getting 8th place or something. He's going to win. I don't feel as confident maybe right now. Again, just based on form, I think Chase can go the speed. I don't know. I don't think Webb will get it done this weekend. I think he'll be in the battle. I pick Eli as my favorite, but it's the least amount of hope I've had for him to win Daytona that I've had in a long time. Like it's still pick as number 1, but we're backing off a little bit. We're like, we'll see. Again, 8th on Cowie. I'm still like, he's winning next weekend. It's just happens. It's already been predicted. Just give him the trophy.
Scotty, I don't want you to give us your predictions yet because we'll get to those in a minute 60, but I want to know what you're most looking forward to this weekend at Daytona. What stands out as maybe a couple things that you're like, I want to see how this goes.
Yeah, well, the first question I want to ask is do you think last year, if the Anderson-Mookie thing doesn't happen, does he still win that race?
Yeah. It's Eli.
You think? Because I mean, they were kind of in a better position for it than he was.
I still think probably so.
Yeah, he was still so fast. There was nothing that made me think Anderson was going to win that.
Okay.
What are you most looking forward to?
For what I'm looking forward to is kind of just a change of pace. I used to always really like Daytona. Once they started doing the Atlanta Speedway as well, I was like, okay, this kind of is like cooler than Daytona personally. Okay. Because it's like it's not this sandy thing. I think Daytona is just an iconic race that kind of can be a definition setter. And I'm just kind of excited to see how the different layout makes the difference in this really close championship race.
It's basically, yeah.
You mean the exact same layout as last year?
Yeah, I know, but layout maybe was a bad word. Different format, yes.
A little bit different style track because it's sort of, I mean, it's much more Supercross than it used to be. But I'm excited to see RJ on a 450. Again, not that I think he's going to be even top 5, but it'd be cool. And then Dylan Ferrandis will be back. He texted. Speaking of that, ML, we talked off record. We were talking about how we get guests, and I'm reaching out to guests, and you never know when
they come last minute.
Yeah, so Dylan did text me back today, which I asked Sunday if he could do the show. He texted me back today. Yeah, what time? And I was like, hey, I already filled that spot. So that's how that worked out. But he's in. I asked him if he could do the show next week instead. He said, well, it depends on how my race goes. If it's bad, I won't promise anything. Ha ha. So I appreciate the honesty. We're about to wrap this thing up with our 6D picks of the week. 6D, since its inception almost 12 years ago, 6D Helmets has been dedicated to the relentless pursuit of brain protection. You need that, Scotty. From the original ATR-1 to its successor, the ATR-2, the goal is to develop a revolutionary design concept utilizing creative, forward-thinking technology that would change the market and improve the safety capabilities of the sports helmets. The helmet is the most important piece of protective equipment you will purchase, so visit 6dhelmets.com or go to your local dealership and ask for 6D. ML, what are your picks for 450 class at Daytona? You've already told us Eli.
Yeah, Eli Tomac to win. Chase Sexton for second place. Cooper Webb third would be my picks. And then I forgot, do we do these for 250s or no?
No, last week I did ask everybody to pick their winner because I predicted Danger Boy to win at Arlington. That did not happen. So
you messed it up.
Yeah, I'm the one that ruined his consistency. Scotty, what do you got for Daytona?
How did we do last week?
You went Sexton, Webb, AP, so you were way off. Me and Lewis picked. I picked Chase, Webb, Eli. He went Sexton, Webb, Eli. So we got the podium just wrong order.
Yeah, I think it's kind of pretty hard. Like I wanted to be different and pick the AP in third. I think at this point it's impossible to pick any other than Webb, Tomac, or Sexton to be in the top three. I think it's just kind of where we're at. Anderson showed this week in Dallas that he can kind of sneak in there. I'd be interested to see what he does, but straight to my picks.
Not straight to your picks.
Now that we're going to my picks, I'm going to say Tomac, Webb, Sexton. I think Sexton makes another mistake.
It's funny. I said a minute ago that I'm going with Chase, but I wrote my picks earlier, and I wrote Eli first. So I feel like I should change those just because.
Nope. You can't come aboard the Eli Express.
Oh.
Get off. You've made your decision.
Yeah.
You've made your bed. Get away.
All right, I fixed it. Chase, Eli. You went Eli Webb, Sexton. So those are our 60
I'm
picks.
doing this in hope that I've been picking Sexton to win, and it hasn't been happening. So I'm like reverse psychology is what I'm going for
with
here.
it. I do want to remind everybody.
You guys are just weighing down the ship. We need you off. We need you off. We need you to walk the plank.
I've been on the Sexton ship.
Sacrifice yourself.
It.
Sacrifice yourself for the cause. We need you to walk the plank, the both of you.
I just did. I picked him third.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Jamie's just over here just still screwing it up.
I want to remind everybody the MotoXpod Show does have a fantasy league on PulpMX's fantasy site, so go join our league. It's free. Right now, the guy leading is _Smoke. _Smoke is leading our league, so I have kicked him out. I've got about 1,000 people I have to kick out so that I can be the top guy, but we'll get there. Yeah, join our league. It's a lot of fun. I will get some prizes lined up for the top 3 or something by the end of the season. So, yeah, I want to thank everybody for that. I want to remind you guys, MotoXpodShow@gmail.com. Send us your thoughts, comments, anything you want us to talk about, criticisms. We will bring those up. I want to thank all of our sponsors, Race Tech and Boyesen as the presenting sponsors, Prox, X-Brand Goggles, Guts Racing, FXR, 6D Helmets, Luxon, Motul, WSA, everybody on board making this thing happen. I want to thank Julien, Juju, Beaumer, Daxton Bennick, Benny Bloss. Anything else before we go, ML?
I think we're good, man.
Scotty, anything else?
Nope, just excited to see what happens.
Well, appreciate everybody listening. Other than that, we're out with episode 261. We'll be back next week.